things. Hopefully it's okay on your end. Oh, there we go. Oh, no data. What the? That's weird. All right, I think we're back. Hopefully. No, it's still saying no data. Holy shit. Streams. I'm just gonna keep going. Hopefully it sorts itself out. I don't know why the data rate is so bad. But it's bad. Wow. Might even just... I'll record it and then post this video. I'll still keep going on the live just in case it sorts itself out, but I'll record it as well and post it separately so you don't have to sit through shitty video. Wow, it's really bad. It's dropping nearly all the frames. Huh. I must have a connection issue, which seems weird. Anyway, all right. Start recording. Okay, this is Rangadad. Apologies for the crappy feed on the live. This isn't financial advice. This is just the way I'm looking at the market today. And what a market, hey? Interesting. Just looking at implied volatility, we could actually be getting close to top here. Probably need that to be a bit higher. Yeah, you'd want to see it up above 80, I would think. But I suggest that potentially means we've got a bit of chop to go, a bit of downside on NASDAQ and SPY. Soon, try to pick that. We are on the NAS pretty well at the top of this vector candle. There is a gap here, and that aligns with the top of the Gaussian channel. So that is a potential turnaround point. Fortunately, and that would be almost halfway within this channel, which is a pretty good turnaround point, to be honest. That's kind of the point where you do want to actually see some retracement if you're a bear. So keep an eye out for that. I think I know why it's stuffing up. Yeah, I need to pause that. It's just a heap of videos that should have synced yesterday. Anyway, that should improve things, hopefully. So NAS potentially a little bit further to go before seeing a retrace. To close this gap and then retrace, I'd be a little bit more concerned with that, to be honest. I'd like to see a healthy pullback into this zone about now. But you never know with this market. There's plenty of FOMO occurs. Equal weight is moving up as well, so that's a good sign. We are seeing the first signs of the smart money indicator as well firing. So that is good. S&P 500, wow. What a rip. Yeah, I mean, at some point, this has got to go the opposite direction. Not necessarily in a big way. It looks like it's setting up to just sort of come back into the bottom of the Gaussian channel here and then go from there again. That's a pretty strong run. What's the equal weight doing? Yeah, equal weight's coming up into a vector candle, which is interesting. If we get a triple top here, that could be concerning. Just one of the things to kind of keep in mind. Global liquidity is still ticking to the upside as well. So that's kind of propping up the market a bit. Definitely got potentially further to go. And implied volatilities, the what is it? The implied volatility from the options for, I think this one uses 30 days into the future. So basically, it just looks at what the options are pricing in terms of potential over the next 30 days. Typically, for a decent turnaround, you want to be seeing something pretty high. But need to put a an RSI onto this to get a proper read. IWM. I mean, we're starting to see these signs here. IWM's got a fair bit it can take up here, so wouldn't surprise me if we keep running for a little bit. Just trying to think what's going to cause that pullback, and I don't know. Maybe it doesn't, but could be news of something happening in the Ukraine war or Iran and Israel or something like that. But not seeing a huge potential for news events at the moment that might change things, but I'll have to wait and see. So yeah, the Russells on the futures is having a good bounce as well. So, like, this is a pretty strong up day. Could be a fake out, but with this much bullishness, you'd kind of expect pullbacks to be met with buying demand as well. But you could potentially pull back, even on the Dow into this sort of region, another 2% down. Wouldn't surprise too much. Picking up a lot of the vector candles though already, so it really needs some impetus to get up further. XLY, XLP is moving up, so there's support there. Regional banking has jumped. That, if that closes the gap, I would say that's pretty bullish. That would keep going. And if regional banks are going up, typically that's a sign that people aren't super worried about the economy yet. And I've been thinking about it more and more, and there is a lot of liquidity left on the sidelines and a lot of things that the Fed can do to really support the economy It's just whether or not, or it's just a matter of how long that can last. Because I think the debt issues are going to be profound when they fully come to light. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm actually starting to move my big bear market blow off top to somewhere towards later 2025 at the moment. I'm certainly entertaining that idea. I just have to watch and wait and see. Um, Good that we got a bounce here and a double bottom would suggest potentially, if we get a W pattern here, that'd be awesome. That would suggest we're going higher. Obviously, it is kind of forming one at the moment. Double bottoms on these sort of things don't necessarily have to pull back before continuing. But it's suggesting the Dow's finding some strength against gold, which is suggesting the overall economy is not in any huge turmoil. Big relax after the spike on the VIX. Skew is down though. So Skew's kind of trying to decide which way it wants to go at the moment. Haven't really got a read on that one yet. Obviously, it's pulled back a little bit, but the fact that it's bouncing around kind of suggests there's still some nervousness in the market, which is actually not a bad thing. You want to be climbing that wall of worry at the moment. DAX is still going up. This would be an interesting point for the DAX to bounce off. So it'd basically be middle of the Gaussian channel. You got vector candle recovery. You got this trend line here that it would be testing. Rejection from that would probably potentially bring us back down into the 200 somewhere. So I don't know. The markets seem to be getting close to a point that would make sense to it for a turnaround. They've just certainly gone higher than what I thought they would have. Chinese market's still not looking super strong. UK market, wow, what a run. That concerns me a little bit. Big run up like that would typically have a pretty decent pullback. But again, this would be a good spot for that pullback. Maybe another day, sort of just to top out, reclaim this vector candle fully, make everyone think it's going higher, and then pull back. But you wouldn't expect more than fucking idiot. That was the wrong one. You wouldn't expect more than sort of, if we came up into there, pullbacks into this level here, 81,000-ish, sorry, 8,100, would be vector candle recovery. And if it sort of slowly came down here, that would be a good thing to sort of just settle this market down, come back into the bottom of this range, and then head higher again. If we break below this range again, you could expect a lot more downside. So I don't know. There's signs out there that we could see the full breakdown of the system soon, but I just think something's going to come in. Like the global financial system will come together somehow and manage to delay things further. Treasuries are down slightly, which again is kind of supporting the idea that the market will keep going up and interest rates will come down. Yield curve has not uninverted yet. It's still sort of going back up. As we said, this could take a while to actually uninvert properly, and then once it has uninverted properly, it still could take 6 to 12 months to actually cause a recession, like a proper break. So the 2 years actually bounced, which, I mean, it did surprise me that it came down that quickly. But I think now what this is the market seems to be pricing in the fact that we won't have a massive rate decrease, which is a good thing. Like, we want 0.25% if you're a bull. If we get 0.5%, then I'll be a little bit more concerned. So, you know, a decent move up on this, even into the 200, wouldn't surprise me. But at the moment, that's priced in, like, yeah, what, 1.5 percentage points compared to the actual target rate, current target rate. Copper, good bounce. I actually tried to buy into a minerals ETF the other day and I didn't take the order. And yes. Uranium looks like it's bottoming, actually. It's come into this area here that we pointed out the other day, and it's basically flatlined at the moment. So looks like it's getting ready for a turnaround. Gold's an interesting one. A little bit of strength on the day. That I wouldn't be surprised if gold does come back down into this 2300 area. I have to keep an eye on that because, I mean, there's not many vector candles in here. If the market does sort of take off again, everyone's happy, then yeah, gold could pull back. I wouldn't expect it to come much further down than this, but if it runs from here, then, you know, 2600 is a pretty good target from there. Silver finally had a bit of a bounce, and again, silver off the bottom is going more in terms of percentage than gold is. Oil had a decent bounce, so we had that level in there yesterday. I'm surprised. Oil would normally pull back in further, like we said yesterday. So maybe just keep an eye on it. A little bit of chop potentially. But yeah, the other thing for a proper recession to kick off, you're typically going to have oil at really high levels for it to start a big down run on the market. Dixie bounced a little. Again, I think that's probably related to people pricing in less rate cuts after the panic has sort of subsided and people realize the sky isn't falling. They're starting to realize, okay, we probably don't need a 0.5, or some people were saying 0.75% rate cut, which would have, I think, led to some pretty nasty things. But yeah, that looks like that's what's kind of happening. Interestingly, the Aussie versus US dollar is kind of flat. It's reclaiming and retesting the 200 EMA. It is kind of overextended, but volatility is increasing as well. So we could get up to that 67-cent area. Japanese yen is dropping. I think that's probably a big reason for the US, like for the Dixie to be increasing as well. Euro has dropped back as well. So they're probably the two biggest ones that affect the Dixie. Brazilian reals coming back a little. US versus Hong Kong is up. Yeah, okay. So a bit of strength across the board for the US dollar. Money supply is still increasing, as I said. Decent bounce on global liquidity. May actually find some resistance here, though. So if this starts to drop off, we could see that correction happening on the markets. Doesn't always correlate, though, so just be careful. Just have a quick look at these. Yeah, they're all still showing no real signs of anything. Stocks above 50-day moving average. That hasn't updated yet for today, but still heading up. The big guys looks like they're just get rid of this for now. Looks like the Mag 7's still going up again, getting into this vector candle recovery, top of the Gaussian channel. There's got to be bears sitting in here, you would think, pretty soon. A bit of profit taking on the run up. There will be nervousness too, so people will take profits a bit earlier when you see these sort of big downturns. Tesla's doing okay. Nvidia's doing okay. Arcade, don't worry about that for the time being. Apple's doing pretty well as well. Again, vector candle recovery right up to the wick. It does have a little bit further it could go to this one if it wanted, but wait and see. Meta, wow, Meta's actually getting close to an all-time high. That's a pretty good run. It did surprise the upside on all its earnings stuff, so probably would have ripped to a new all-time high already if we didn't have that big sell-off in the market. AMD looking strong, but again, coming into a point where it could pull back from key levels. Airbnb going strong. SMCI is going strong, but again, coming into probably some pretty decent overhead resistance around there. 692, sorry. Aussie market, that was a good retest around that level. Looks like it wants to go. So next week, I'd probably be looking, the Aussie market should get pretty close to new all-time highs again. We could pull back first, yes, but in general, this recovery looks pretty good. Total crypto market cap is struggling, and obviously that's bringing down Bitcoin. Now, it could come lower. Really, if we're breaking below with a close below this level on the daily, I will be getting pretty concerned. I mean, you close a daily below the bottom of these candles and it would be coming back into the 1.63, I would think. That sort of region would make a lot of sense. And it looks like stochastic momentum is turning on that. Volatility may actually spike again. If we have much more downside, then yeah, I would actually expect volatility to start coming up. So that's concerning. The question is, why is it doing this when the overall market is still pumping? Theory at the moment would be basically that people, one, they're seeing the value in the general stock market at the moment. Oh, sorry. So once, like now that we have institutional investors in crypto, don't just think that that's going to take things to the moon. They don't hodl. They look for value and they sell in profit. So it's got to change the mindset of people in crypto. And I think this is a pretty nasty looking candle. You know, down around the 56,870 at the moment. The only hopium is that we are still above some of the key fib levels. The big issues that I see here are we look like we want to close below the wick here. If we look at the channel on the overall index, it's still sorry. The overall index is still above these key levels. So it's above the 0.5, it's above the 618, which is actually here. It's just this is upside down. And a pullback into this area, you know, looking at the wick as sort of the bottom of this whole move, that's not a bad area to come into. You want to see bounces in the next couple of days, though, I would think. And the issue is if the rest of the stock market is dropping, what's that going to do to Bitcoin? And in terms of why money might flow out of Bitcoin for a little bit, well, one, you've got the fact people are putting it into the general stock market, see more value in that at the moment. But looking at this chart, it doesn't look great because we've rejected the 50 EMA and gotten close to it twice there. We've broken below the 200 EMA. We've basically tested the midpoint of this channel and rejected off it. Typically, that's a sign that you're going to break to the downside. Now, obviously, Bitcoin can do Bitcoin things. It can actually lead the market in a recovery. It did look a lot more bullish than the rest of the market pretty quickly. And there was a lot of money pumped into Bitcoin on that drop and on that increase. So there is money flowing into it, but I guess why is it stopped and why is it dropping? And that's the question we've got to ask ourselves. Like what happens if we get a pullback in the rest of the market? You know, stochastic momentum looks like it's turning to the downside. If volatility decreases while it drops, then we might just get a slow move down. Bitcoin doesn't do down very slowly, though. So it's going to be really critical the next few days to see what happens around the bottom of this channel. But the veracity with which it has actually come down on the shorter time frames. Just tidy this up a little bit. Like that, there's some pretty significant moves. And realistically, it needs to turn around here. If we break through this level, about the 56.5, if we break below 56.5, then next stop is low 55s. And that is a critical level because that would be pretty close to Yeah, the 618 on this total move is 54. Let's just have a quick look at the daily. We're already breaking below the 618 just on the body of the candles. So pretty critical around that 55 mark. Could we sweep the lows? Yes. But yeah, 54.5. Yeah, I mean, that 54.5 level is a key fib level, like that 54.382. So bounces around there. Okay, that's great. You know, that would be pretty close to the bottom of this channel. That's kind of the last level for the bulls, in my opinion. If we're closing a daily below that, it's down to 44, 45, somewhere around there. And we're not out of the woods yet. Like, it would need to sort of have a turnaround somewhere in here. And then you're going to have resistance on the way up. And this is actually what you would want to see. You want to see this moving slowly and just creeping up, retesting, hitting new highs, retesting. And then once, and like, it won't look like that. It won't look like a straight shot up. There will be bigger bounces, bigger pullbacks, but in general, you want to see it happening fairly slowly because it needs to gather some momentum. You can't just rip. And I think I said that after this run here, like it was looking good for a breakout on this second push here. But in the end, it was a fake out. The issue is whenever you see a quick run up over a good distance, especially now with institutional investors in, it's going to make it hard to break out. You need some sort of sideways and some just a gradual run up. So not expecting anything major out of Bitcoin anytime soon, and I think we need to see a proper pullback and then bounce on the general market. We need to see Fed cutting interest rates by 0.25 would be useful. Things like that will move the market. If we properly break out of this range in either direction, I'd actually be using this as a guide as well. I've already done that, but 83-ish, 85-ish would be a pretty good target for the next little peak. To the downside, you're looking at this 44 to 45 level, which has the 200 EMA coming in there as well. So that's, and look, at the moment, bias is back to the downside. Only going to turn bullish again if we have a proper bounce off the bottom of this channel and off these sort of key levels at the fib levels. I just want to go have a quick look at the Pi cycle. Yeah, so Pi cycle indicator. You know what's really interesting? Most bull runs on crypto really kick off and really go parabolic once price gets above the top of this Pi cycle indicator, above this band. That's at 100 grand at the moment. It may slowly, it'll probably be up around 105 by the time we're breaking to new all-time highs. I don't know that it's going to give the same relevance that it once did. Like, if you look, what I'm talking about is this. So, we tested it, bounced down off it, which we probably will do again, I would suggest, if we do get to that level. If we break above it, I don't expect it to go on a run like this. Like, what's that? Run to the top, 200%. If Bitcoin doubles from the breakout of this, which it's not going to do, but even if it goes up 100% from there, you're talking 200K now. That is a potential target. I've actually previously done some work back right at the lows, looking at where Bitcoin could possibly go, and 200K is definitely somewhere it could go. But in this market, if we get a full blow off top, yeah, I mean, it's doable. It's hard to see at the moment, but it's doable. But you're talking, I'd expect it to be out somewhere end of 2025. So, we'll just have to wait and see. But it could be the first. Well, there's a few signs that typical cycles and stuff are already broken, but just play the shorter term price action at the moment, I think, and we need to see a bounce in somewhere between 54 and where it's at the moment. Ethereum is probably more of an indicator of what could actually happen, because it's rejecting this channel. It didn't even come back into that channel. So that's probably more of a concern than anything. Look, it looks like it wants to come back into this wick, which, I mean, shit, if we see a recovery of that wick, then you'd expect Bitcoin to be doing the same thing, to be honest. Just a quick look at this one. No, nothing different on that. On CME, Sol's doing the same thing. The interesting thing is fucking Litecoin. Like, Litecoin's just powering ahead. Had a little bit of a pullback today, but it was just going, like, it didn't even blink at the CPI readings. I think that was CPI there. Yeah, it had a pullback of 2%, and then ripped to the upside. And it looks like it wants more. There's a lot of interest in Litecoin for some reason. And it's coming off a low stochastic momentum on the 15. Even, I think, the 1 hour, might have a little bit more to come on the 1 hour, but yeah, Litecoin's looking like it wants some more. A little bit of rejection off the 800 on the hourly there. So it could just be sort of pulling up and then rejecting off that again. If we see that, it'll probably pull back, and given that run up, I'd be probably looking for Bitcoin to be moving further down. But at the moment, Litecoin's sort of been outperforming most stuff at the moment. Everything else is pretty far down. Matic is falling through some key levels as well. There's going to be some bargains coming up, I think. WIF is shitting the bed. It rolled over pretty early, though. Never really reclaimed any decent highs like Bitcoin did before the pullback. Things like that were probably a decent sign that it was going to, or Bitcoin was going to struggle too. But at the same time, Bitcoin dominance is up, so Bitcoin would typically be leading the way. But yeah, that on the hourly, that was a big level. So I called out in the Discord that Bitcoin looked like it was coming out of the bearish control zone on the stochastic momentum yesterday, just on that candle there. It did full rejection off the mid-band of the Gaussian channel on the hourly and the 200 EMA. That's, led to a pretty significant downside action again. So one of the things we can do is say, well, okay, where can we expect this to end? Funnily enough, that sits around the 55,600. That second leg down could potentially be a little bit longer. So we could actually get into 55.2. Fuck, I wish I had not stuffed up that trade the other night. This would have been so good to trade. And anyway, once that hits a key level, we'll have to wait and see what happens from there. But potentially you pull back up somewhere into here probably, and that'll bring you down into the 53s, which not seeing a hell of a lot of things that would stop it around there. So yeah, not looking super special on that. Do a quick look at what was that? I'm on the wrong bloody setting. Hopefully you've been seeing everything okay. Yeah. So yeah, obviously picking up a lot of orders down here, which again is a good thing. You want to see it picking up a lot of orders. It does strengthen the upside move, but it looks like it wants more. It's pretty decent moves down. Interesting that the funding rates have been sort of picking decent low points as well, which is typically what I use for trying to pick bottoms of runs and stuff like that, which is why I kind of sold out in here too. Not 100% perfect though, so it's good that we've seen a bit of a tick up in the open interest. You kind of want to start seeing that if you're expecting a bounce. Didn't see a huge amount through here. Massive drop off in open interest there. That is huge for such a relatively small drop, which I think if we have a look, yeah, so it's probably because of liquidation. Yes, where was it? Just in here. Oh, it was over there. Doesn't look that big compared to a lot of the stuff that we've taken in the last day. There we go. Yeah. There was a fair few liquidations at that point. So that's why the open interest dropped so significantly. Yeah, it looks. I'm surprised it didn't take this level here when it went on the run up. Just a wick into that would have made a lot of sense. It did sort of claim the top of this candle, so there was obviously some liquidity in there, but yeah, a little bit surprised it didn't come up higher. Question is, where's it going to stop? And got to go to the higher time frames now to look for where there's actually liquidity. And it's recovering most of it. Like there's pretty big gaps. That level 54, so that brings you 54 back into play, which is the bottom of that channel. Like it kind of looks like it wants that. Interesting level. Yeah, as I said, if we break below that sort of 56,500, it looks, based on all this, it looks like 54.5 is going to be a pretty key level. Maybe a little bit lower into the 53.5 even. Just 53.5 would be on the wicks. You'd be looking for a close above 54, I would think, for this to be like on the daily close. You need to have a bounce around the 54 level. But yeah, given stocks are still going up and are likely to be coming back down at some stage soon, you've got to be questioning whether that will actually provide a bounce point at the 54 level. We just zoom out. There's a lot of open orders down below. A lot above too, but you know, 804, 900 BTC. Don't tell me it wouldn't love to come into those levels. I've got this filtered so it's not picking up the super small levels now. Doesn't want to let me change the settings on that. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, doesn't want to. All right, screw you. So yeah, I think around that 47, you're going to get some support around that level at this stage. But yeah, there's some key levels in here. Long way away, hopefully, but we'll see. I am going on leave though, so that every time I seem to go on a decent holiday, something breaks in the stock market or some war starts or something like that. So wouldn't surprise me if that happens again. Literally, I was away when the GFC hit in earnest. I'll wait and see what I come back to. Eh? All right, that'll do for today. I'll catch you later.